What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Vulkan, and today I'm going to be going through 11 tips and tricks to make your life a little bit easier in Assassin's Creed Shadows. These are things that I learned along the way that I wish I knew a little bit sooner. So I'm not going to waste your guys' time. I'm going to get right into it. So number one, the biggest thing that I can recommend to you guys is to upgrade your assassinations and your kunai damage first. This makes clearing castles, especially early in the game, much easier. And you're going to need to clear those castles because that's where you're going to get a ton of loot, materials, and ways to make yourself stronger. By default, assassinations are going to deal 2 bars worth of damage, and kunai are going to deal 1 bar worth of damage. So upgrading those is going to give you 3 bars worth of damage for assassinations and 2 bars of damage for kunai. At that point, you can assassinate most early game enemies in 1 hit, and you can insta-kill them. Let's move over to number 2. So number 2, find legendary gear that boosts that assassination, tools, and melee damage. Now, ability damage is fine, but you don't get as much juice per squeeze unless you build around supercharging your adrenaline recharge rate, which early on, again, it's tough to find gear that's going to actually be worthwhile for making an adrenaline-based build. So for me, going for things that had assassinations, tools, and melee damage was a little bit better off because then again, you can deal more damage. You can insta-kill enemies a little bit easier, and having things that don't break like shuriken or kunai is fantastic because you're going to need those things as you go through and clear areas or points of interest. Number 3, do not skip the art minigames. These are a great source of experience. You also get some decorations and pets if you care about those type of things. Now for me, early on, I was like, I don't really want to do the art thing. It seems like a speed bump. It's just going to slow me down. But as I continued to do them, I realized, wow, this is a great source of experience. It's actually equivalent typically to a contract, which is another thing. So this is just one of those things that as you're out in the world, just stop and do it. It's not hard, and it only takes a little bit of time for you to get a good chunk of experience. Number 4, make sure to stop for shrines and totems. These are both a good source of experience, and they also provide temporary buffs. And these buffs are great for evening the playing field against tougher enemies or points of interest. And they typically are somewhere nearby where you can go get the buff and then run and clear a castle, clear a point of interest, something similar. Number 5, don't forget to upgrade your home base. This can very easily be forgotten as you explore the world and you play the game. I know I do. I kind of get immersed in everything. And then I remember, oh dang, I have to go back and upgrade my home base so I can start getting new perks and things like that. Now, pairing this with number 5, make sure to collect all of the materials at points of interest. It's very tempting to just do the objectives, collect the legendary chest, and then move on, but you're also leaving a ton of materials on the table. So you don't want to do that because you'll be shorting yourself in the long run that way. Instead, take some time, full clear the point of interest or the castle, collect all of the materials, and then you'll be able to build up that home base a little bit easier. And another point here, make sure your scouts are always full. It doesn't cost very much, but every time you go back to your home base, spend the 200 currency, refill your scouts, and then send them back out, or have them available so you can smuggle out those materials in points of interest, because that's going to be kind of your moneymaker that way. Number 6, similar to your home base, don't forget to upgrade your gear, because as you level up, you're going to outlevel your gear rather quickly. So upgrading these items will give them a little bit more longevity, especially the legendary items that you find, because you want to make sure you continue to have that affix or that perk available, because it's going to make your build and your character a little bit better. I do have a video that kind of shows the best early game legendary gear that I was able to find, and going back and upgrading these gives them a little bit more life. That way you can continue to have them equipped for a longer period of time. Number 7. So there are some puzzles that are out in the world, like specific kofuns, for example, that can only be completed by Nawe or Yasuke. So don't spend too much time trying to figure things out if it isn't relatively obvious. Instead, once you're able to, change characters and then go back and try it. There was a couple that I was just racking my brain trying to figure it out, and then I realized, oh, it's because I'm on Nawe and not Yasuke, or vice versa. So again, most of these things are relatively obvious, so don't feel like you're missing something, and don't spend too much time on it. Moving on to number 8, this is one that I really want to kind of drive home because it caught me off guard, and I think it's going to catch players off guard too. So regarding points of interest, and I'm not talking about just castles and things like that, any of like the red dot points of interest. Just because an area is labeled low wealth doesn't mean it can't contain some awesome loot. I believe the wealth amount just shows how many chests are in the actual area itself, like the quantity, but not necessarily the quality. So for instance, there's a area that you'll find early on called Tezuku's Lair. It is a low wealth area, but it contains a legendary weapon. So don't assume an area isn't worth checking out just because of that wealth tag. Instead, just use that as a guiding point for, okay, that area doesn't have a ton of chests, but it could contain some awesome quality of loot instead. Number 9, use the observe function everywhere, not just in castles, not just in points of interest, because you will be surprised at how many hidden chests are out in the world, tucked away from key areas. There's been a ton hidden away in water, behind waterfalls, underneath rocks, bushes, and as you kind of go through and look around, you'll discover these, and there's been some really cool stuff that I've been able to find. Number 10, just like those hidden chests, make sure to stop and talk to NPCs. I've gotten some good gear, resources, information, new scouts, by just being curious and talking to NPCs that I come across. Now the key here is that not every NPC is going to be useful or even allow you to talk to them. What you want to do is just listen for NPCs either talking to themselves or talking to others. This is a hook to pull the player in and have you interact with them. So keep an eye out for that and make sure to check with those NPCs because they could be hiding something incredibly helpful. Number 11, the last one here. So these are key settings that I recommend to change. One, if you want more of a guided exploration, this is where you're not going to have to send scouts to reveal quest markers or scout out an area. If you just want, hey, put the thing on the map, let me go to the thing on the map and do that thing, then turn on guided exploration. This is going to reduce the need to investigate everything. And then if you're somebody who's not big on the gore and blood, there is a toggle for dismemberment, so you can turn that off. That way it's a little bit of a cleaner game. And the last one is a setting for simplified input for those who either want to completely skip the quick time events or make it a little bit easier. This also switches melee to a single input. So for those that have some accessibility concerns, then you can adjust that setting to make the game a little bit easier and fit whatever playstyle you need. So guys, these were 11 quick tips that I really wish I knew sooner kind of going into the game, and I wanted to share them with you because I think if I knew these right when I hit the ground running, I'd spend my resources and my time a little bit more wisely. So hopefully you guys get out there, enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, this has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.